Hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Impact Money Show. You're watching on the Smart Money Culture TV networks on your TVs in Texas and Louisiana, as well as streaming around the world on X, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and all the rest. It is a great morning here in the capital, Washington, D.C. We finally got a little bit of rain. It has been really dry. It's been really dry. Across the district here. The guys as well in Congress, they're posturing. Yes, we defunded Mayorkas. We defunded Mayorkas' office. This guy, literally, there's a couple of months left in the current administration, and they're like, "Oh, we did something. You see, guys." Anyway, markets are mixed. I think a lot of that has to do with the geopolitical situation that's going on worldwide. Of course, war can be very good for the markets, but it can also be pretty testy. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. Of course, you have Netanyahu is coming here to sell, to get more money. They brought in the last guy, his cousin there from Ukraine, Zelensky, a while back, and he came and of course picked up the $100 billion. That was like when it was really, really unpopular with everybody to send any more money. They brought him in, so it looks like that's what they're going to do over there as well. I was just watching some stuff, and it looks like Lebanon is pretty much a lot of people have left. The people that could leave have left, and I'm sure that'll continue. You definitely don't want to have your family in a war zone, right? Gold is up slightly. Silver is down slightly. Impulsive move currently at the moment on Bitcoin, but it's hard to say that will last. I think we've talked about it a couple of times on the show. I think that as the ETFs, the big guys, central bankers control more and more Bitcoin, we're going to see a lot more maybe not performing exactly how people think it will perform. And we talked about it a number of times on the show that the central bank, one of the jobs of the central bank that they claim or whatever, one of the things they do is they market make. Okay. And one of the reasons why they market make is to remove liquidity from circulation. And so if they have a lot of a commodity like Bitcoin and they're able to move that market, they're able to remove liquidity from them. And just to take that out of the box for you, let's say however many billions bought in Bitcoin in these ETFs at 70 or 73 or whatever thousand that they bought in, and then you crash that market or you move that market down to 60,000. Okay, and all that money in between is, especially if they sell, is gone. But even if they don't sell, if they keep the price there, that money is gone and it's out of circulation. And if you don't think it's out of circulation, ask the guys who bought it, because they don't have the money anymore. So that's one of the ways that they remove. It's not something that's talked about that often. I've never heard really anybody ever talk about it that way, except myself and some other, maybe higher level people that I've discussed it with. But that is one of the ways that they remove liquidity. And right now they need to remove liquidity from the market a lot. They need to remove a lot of liquidity from the market. And so how do you do that? Well, you crash the commodities markets. So it will be interesting as Bitcoin, at this point, it's becoming quite a mature asset. $60,000 is a lot. It's a lot of money. It can go a lot higher for sure, but still $60,000 is a lot. I think 61 something right now. Nice impulsive move. It looks like, over the last hour or so, that would indicate that the big guys are going long. Usually when you have an impulsive move like that in the morning around 5 a.m., 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, then that is the big guys getting into the market. They're going long. The institutions will either go long or short. Now, we also have the PCE numbers coming out tomorrow. And that will be interesting as well. Of course, markets are always usually the week or the few days before. Either they'll crash them really hard and then go up from there once the PCE numbers come out, or they just kind of be tepid as they go through. Probably they've crashed them over the last months or so. The way they've worked it is they've crashed the markets, and then they go up from there. At the time of I was putting together the broadcast, the futures were Dow futures rather were down a bit. Yeah, not much, but down a bit. The Asian markets, though, down considerably across the board. So the Asian markets, and that's a pretty good indicator, not always, but a pretty good indicator. You have the Hong Kong Stock Exchange down 2%, the Shenzhen down 1.5%. Kind of a lot of red across the board there. Oil up again. Basically, though, it's just kind of flirting around this 81, 80, 82 dollar range. You probably though noticed at the pumps the price of gasoline is up. Price of gasoline is up. I think it's over $4 around here. So that's that has a lot to do with how everything feels as well. And I was in Costco actually yesterday, and I was buying my youngest daughter. She really likes the chocolate milks, the organic chocolate milks or whatever. And, you always want your kids to drink milk. So whatever, right? So I get them. Not long ago, within the last couple of years, I used to pay $13.99 for those chocolate milk. And they're now $17.99. And that's a big move. That is a big move. That's a big move. And then I started thinking about all the prices in there. And, of course, everything's up across the board. It would be pretty interesting. I ran across some old videos last night. My wife wanted me to find the videos. I asked my wife to marry me at a professional tennis match. She was a professional cheerleader for the Capitals, and they did the local tennis team here too as well. And I was looking around for old videos, and I ran across a couple old ones. And in the background, you could see some. I still do. I love hanging out with the kids, my kids. And in the background, you could see the prices of some of the stuff. I guess it was at somewhere with Penelope. And my wife's like, you should go and check those prices. It's gone up a lot. And see, here's the way I look at it. When I look at that and I say, okay, that milk was $13.99 and now it's $17.99. To me, that's the Rothschild's tax. And that's why I wrote a song about it. And we're going to hear more of that song as we put a decent recording together. Get a good jingle going. But that's the tax. So when I look at it, I say, okay, I got $4 in tax right there. So $4 in tax, and that's what pays for the endless wars. We do have some endless existential. So I was just kind of scrolling through like I do of the different news as it comes out. There's like a girl, I don't know if she's a singer or influencer from Lebanon, and she's like, what are we doing? We're like entering in this existential war against NATO, Israel, and the EU, and it's like crazy. What are we thinking? You know what I mean? And then of course you have the war over with in the Ukraine, and they really have Ukraine cannot win that war. Well, and even let's say NATO gets involved, and I don't know, man. I mean, NATO's already involved. Actually, Biden is pushing a plan to put U.S. contractors on the ground there. U.S. contractors are already on the ground there. Okay, so whenever they start to talk about something, whenever they start to, we want to do this, it's already happening. Take it to the bank. It's already happening. We've had boots on the ground there for a long time. Hold on here. I got my good friend. Hey, man, what's going on? I'm doing the live stream. I'm in the middle of the show, man. I thought you wanted to sing the Rothschild sax on live right now. Yeah, I'm on there. No, but no. What's up? Okay, perfect. I'll call you back. All right, bye. In New York, they never sleep, right? It's a city that never sleeps. So if you live in New York, like my good friend Randy Schwartz, you're on that schedule. I'm on the other schedule, right? I wake up at 5 every morning, and so for me, it's a little different. But Randy, my good friend and partner, my good friend and partner, Randy Schwartz. So I wrote the Rothschild tax. We put it to a nice jingle. And we're also putting together some events, blockchain week events during the UN General Assembly, which is it's really 2 weeks. September 12th through the 28th is the UN General Assembly. Everybody's going to be in New York. This is going to be an unbelievable set of events, biggest probably set of events that we've put together. We're partnering, of course, with the Smart Money Culture TV network, which you're watching on right now, to do that. And those are big thing. One, they're big revenue generators for us, right? We make money at these things, which is always good. You want you want us making money so that we can keep doing what we're doing. And two, we connect a lot of people, and other people make money. Other people are able to raise money. Other people are able to meet people. We have some connections with some heads of state as well. So hopefully we'll get those out there. But even opening up new TV networks there in New York. So it kind of, when you do things, right? When you grow, that's what happens. And so hopefully we'll be opening up New York before the UN General Assembly, which would be pretty fun. Right now we're in Texas and Louisiana. Real quick, before I bring on Matt, I know there's a lot of stuff to talk about. The Bolivia failed CIA coup. Yeah, that didn't look good. Not going to be a good night. Not a good day for those guys. I guess it's a failed coup in Bolivia, and that's not good. The intelligence agencies are. This is their thing. This is the favorite CIA thing to do, is put these coups. Bolivia has stood up. They say they don't support what Israel's doing. They don't support the United States. They don't support these wars. And so, of course, you got to try to overthrow them. And anyway, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But let's bring on the great Matt Dixon. I'd love to hear what he has to say about the markets. Sir Matt, the great, how are you?
Good morning. Very well, thank you. Yeah, good to be here again. Let me jump straight into sharing some screens. We've got a bit of a better day today so far, ahead of the news. So let's just jump straight in there. And I think you should probably, let's just see, probably be able to see my screen there.
Yeah, oil. Look at that. That's the oil right there.
Yeah. So not that oil is that correlated with other assets, but it's quite interesting just to see from an economic perspective. And what I like about it is there's some indication right now that potentially we're going to see some downside on oil. And the reason I say that is because we have here hidden bearish divergence. Basically, when you see lower highs on price and higher highs on corresponding RSI, that's called hidden bearish divergence. And it tells you of a continuation of downtrend. And we also got a big red candle following that initial divergence signal. And that's telling you that we're likely to see downside. We also got what's called a doji candle, which is basically like a spinning top, very small body in the middle with a shadow above and a shadow below, or a wick above and a wick below. That's kind of undecided. And at the moment, we began pushing higher, but we're actually pulling back down again. This is looking at the daily chart. So it's looking as though the indications are we're probably going to see some downside. But the big news today is obviously we have durable goods orders out today and we have GDP. So actually, I'll just jump in very quickly to expectations there. So GDP, you can see expectation is for 1.4% read as against the previous 3.4%. So expecting quite a big slowdown there in the US economy. And then we look at durable goods, and the previous reading was 0.7%, and it's now 0.1%. So again, indications of a slowdown. And as I mentioned yesterday, this is just a couple more jigsaw pieces into the picture, showing us that the US economy is beginning to slow. We've already had slowing employment, in other words, increasing unemployment in the US. We've had a lot of signs that the US economy is beginning to slow down, and no more so than what people are actually feeling on the ground. we did mention about the real effect of inflation the other day, how it's really affecting the poorer people, the ordinary people, because all this money printing went to the rich people to pump asset prices. They're the ones who hold the assets, but ordinary people, actually, they're the ones who are paying the mortgages, paying debts, etc. And these things are not included, as we mentioned again yesterday. They're not included in the CPI figures. And so inflation has actually been, the real experience of inflation has been much higher for the ordinary person. And they're the people who actually drive the economy. They're the workers who actually are the ones that produce real goods and work in the economy.
Exactly. And that's exactly, I think you were in the backstage already when I was talking about the price of the chocolate milk. That's a massive, $4 on a $15 or so good is a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, it is. And so, as I know you've said this in the past, and this is just really confirms it, that the actual inflation that people experience on the ground is way, way different to the headline figure they put out to people. And so the way the Fed have kept interest rates this relatively high for so long, when we're seeing lots and lots of signs of the economy now beginning to show cracks under the strain, but also ordinary people really suffering with that what was high inflation. It is now coming down at a reasonable rate. And the big important figure, I think, is going to be tomorrow, the PCE figures, which are expected to come out at 2.6%. I'm very much hoping and expecting that we'll see lower figures than expected. And as I've said, that if that's the case, then we're likely to see then more downward pressure on interest rates. I don't think the Fed will be able to act next time round, because the Fed normally likes to signal at least one meeting in advance before they make a change in interest rates. And this is to give the impression, I guess, that they're in control of things, they're planning things, and it's a well-reasoned, planned reduction in interest rates. So they won't just suddenly do a knee-jerk reaction to drop rates next time round. They'll want to come across as being properly reasoned, etc., and an interest rate reduction is coming. But if they give that signal, that will be enough to give the markets a boost, because then they will know almost 100%, if they give that signal, that we're going to see lower interest rates next time round, the next meeting after the July meeting. And so that will be positive risk assets. And I believe that will probably be the case. And if we start to see easier monetary policy, it does mean for risk assets, that's a good thing. And Bitcoin being a risk asset, that's a good thing. So oil, as I say, I just showed it because it's got a beautiful indication there of potential downside to come with this hidden bearish divergence. But into the crypto assets that we talk about so often, Bitcoin has actually turned up quite nicely. And once again, we have a beautiful indication. So I'll actually just scroll out. We did this again yesterday, but I'll just scroll out to show you that we've been in a nice parallel channel, a very nice parallel channel there, which has contained the price of Bitcoin all the way up to the previous all-time high, and then back down in corrective fashion. So you can see overlapping corrective fashion to the downside. It just tagged the support line here perfectly. So that was the place to jump in at 58,400. That was the place where we tagged this support line here. So you could jump in with a stop loss just below and potential for massive upside to 80,000 plus perhaps if we reach the top of this parallel channel. So then we'll look at how price has gone since then. We can actually see it spiked down to tag that support line. But what's interesting here is this is looking at the daily chart. We can see here the actual hidden bullish divergence here. So basically this is showing a continuation of this upward trend, because you can see it's upward sloping on the price, downward sloping on corresponding RSI. This is telling us that from this point we expect to see an upside correction. So we've got so far two indicators there. We have divergence and we have parallel channel. And then we'll just go a little bit shorter term. I'll go on to the 4-hour chart here and just expand it a bit so we can see on the 4-hour chart exactly where we stand. So from that, I'll even expand it more, I think, so we can really see. So from that, tagging this support line here, this long held parallel channel, we tagged that support, we jumped higher with some really nice impulsive green candles without overlap to the downside. So that was potentially a wave higher, and then we've got some pullback, and now we're pushing up again. So that is very, very typical of what would happen if you test a support line. It would go higher and then perhaps retest low before higher again. So if we get weaker PCE tomorrow, and if we get weaker numbers even today with durable goods and with GDP, that will probably begin to extend the rebound higher on Bitcoin. So I'm actually quite hopeful for the time being. Today, and if not today, then tomorrow, I think we're probably going to see some further upside on Bitcoin. So that's really hopeful. Similar story for Ethereum. And again, we can see here, we can probably actually see a 5-wave move up if we were to look at it in a shorter time frame. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, correction down, and then we're beginning to move impulsively up again, upside again. So Ethereum again is looking reasonably positive. And we've had this corrective move down. Again, you can see it's very overlapping, all these waves overlapping. And we've even with this move up, we've overlapped all of these down moves here. So this is looking overlapping to the downside. And I think that we're likely to move now impulsively to the upside. So that's very, very positive. So one of the laggards has been XRP, but even XRP, I actually think we're headed for some upside. We had an upgrade sometime a few days ago from eBay, from the eBay platform, which adds further evidence behind a potential push to the upside. So we have pushed basically corrective downside. I think we're going to get some upside movement fairly soon. And I think it should be a reasonable upside movement to come in the near future. So even XRP, which has really been dragging its feet, I think is looking for some good upside in the near future.
I mean, it's due. My gosh, they really made their holders, I mean, hang on for dear life.
Yeah, XRP always has done that. I've had experience of trading XRP right down from when it was 4 cents and now it's 46 cents. So yeah. I remember from those days, XRP seems to be a token that you basically hold it and hold it and hold it. You get bored, you dump it, and then it pumps in price. So
like 20, 30, 50, 80%.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's one of those very frustrating tokens that I think is one that if you're holding it, you need to be extremely patient. But that patience has been rewarded in the past and it's likely to be rewarded again. So I do think that we'll see some upside coming with XRP. Litecoin as well. Again, you can see I haven't got all the indicators in here, but we basically had an indication of downside to come, which happened. We've now had an indication of a turn higher, which again has happened. And we actually came in with this signal and said to people, interesting buy, look at your risk reward, put your stop loss just below, get in with a buy. You can now protect that and basically then have a risk-free trade to the upside for Litecoin. So I think that in general, I said yesterday, all the pieces of the jigsaw are falling into place now for a bullish outcome. And we're seeing nothing less in Solana. It's looking amazing. So I'll just look at Solana, first of all, on the 15-minute, just look at the real short term on it. So we can see here on the really short term here, so we had from the bottom here, we've had a wave 1 up, 2 down, 3 up, corrective 4 down, and we're pushing up in a 5th wave, I believe, up here. If that's 5 waves to the upside, that would then mean that the current impulsive direction is upside. So after 5 waves, we would then probably expect a bit of a pullback, nothing major, just a bit of a pullback before we then see at least a further 5 waves to the upside. So with that in mind, even looking at this short-term chart, it's given me some confidence that we are going to head higher. Even if we get a pullback after this 5th wave, we're going to get a further 5 waves higher after that. So if I then move on to the 4-hour chart, and we can see slightly bigger picture where we are, we can see even in the big picture, we are looking at some real good potential for upside here because the impulsive direction is the upside. And I think I'll just scroll out a bit further to show you even more so that the impulsive direction is the upside. So we can see we've had basically a wave 1 up, 2 down in blue, 3 up, 4 down, and we're expecting a 5th wave higher. I've got all these arrows pushing higher and even the short-term indicator pushing higher for Solana. So from an Elliott wave perspective, long term, it's looking positive. Short term, the short-term count, the short-term smaller fractal is looking positive. From the recent local all-time high of 209, which happened right back in mid-March, we've had a 5-wave move down, a 3-wave move up, and then this 5-wave move down, which may or may not be complete. I mean, we could potentially even see push lower again, but I'm just talking on the big time frame here. Once this correction is confirmed as complete, we will likely see some really good upside to take us above the local high. So I'm not concerned about short-term moves too much, although it is looking even positive short-term. We might get, as I say, a short-term little pullback before the next major push higher. But overall, this is looking extremely bullish for Solana. And Solana, as we've said from probably, I think, the very first show we did, that Solana, when the markets are looking bullish, Solana rises more than the rest. And Solana, as we've said again, is the chain of choice, the retail chain of choice. Also, they fixed all their congestion issues. So Solana is now running really smoothly. There's another major upgrade coming, I think, in September. So that's really bullish and positive. So I do think that the outlook for Solana is really, really good. And then there's another token that I really like. And Solana, by the way, also got an upgrade from eBay. Actually, I'll just jump into one other that had an upgrade this morning. BNB has been really, really good. And there's a few multiple indications here for BNB that are looking really positive. So again, I look at this divergence and we need to go probably, I think, to the daily to see this proper divergence. That's correct, daily. So we have here hidden bullish divergence. Basically, we've got higher lows on the price and we've got lower lows on RSI. That's what's called hidden bullish divergence. It's telling you that the trend higher in price is likely to continue. But on top of that, we have a good Elliott wave count telling us we're expecting a 5th wave to the upside. On top of that, we had a nice, following this hidden bullish divergence signal telling us of upside, we then got a nice green candle. Admittedly, we got a partial red candle, but then we got a really nice candle in the making at the moment, which tested lower and actually failed lower and is pushing higher. So all in all, there are other signals as well. I've looked at multiple technical analysis indicators here. And in conjunction with the eBay rating upgrade today, I'm really bullish on BNB. So I think that's a real positive.
I am too. I think BNB will be at $1,000 so fast. It'll happen very quickly.
I think that's easily possible. Absolutely, yeah. So ICP has been in the doldrums a little bit. I even expect ICP, we may potentially have a bit lower to go, but usually, very often it actually catches you out. But I think following either from here or maybe just a touch lower, I think we're going to get some upside. We know that once support was breached here, we were going to see some downside. That's precisely what happened. So we saw multiple times that we tested this support zone here. And that's why if you're placing a buy trade, which you may well have done here, you would have a stop loss just below this support zone. So your loss would have been minimal. So even though we see this substantial downside, and even if you got your trade wrong, and we basically, if you've done a buy here, which is perfectly reasonable and feasible to do, you'd have made a loss. But the loss was small because you had defined risk reward once again. So really, really positive. So again, I think ICP will see some upside. We will just take a little quick, well, actually, I'll jump into DXY because DXY will be impacted today with the numbers that come out today because DXY, obviously, it's the US dollar. And the figures today are going to impact the outlook for interest rates. And that will impact the amount of money that flows into the US dollar, into US treasuries in particular. And so if we see weaker figures today, then we will see some further downside. And whether we push this high, I mean, it looks as though we may actually push down from here, somewhere around this level. We should push lower. So that would align with the expectation of probably weaker numbers today and also tomorrow with PCE. Then we see weaker dollar. But if you see weaker dollar, that means money is then coming out of treasuries and it's coming into risk assets like Bitcoin, like a lot of crypto, in fact. So that would be, again, very positive. So we don't want to see a crashing of the data. We don't want to see it really, really weak, because that would indicate recession is virtually already here. We just want to see a softening of the data. And in particular, tomorrow, we want to see a softening of PCE. That we do want to see come down reasonably well towards that 2% target. And if it does, the Fed will need to act, because they don't want it to overshoot the 2% and go, when I say overshoot, or they don't want it to go lower than 2%. So if they see movement towards 2%, they would probably want to act early in lowering interest rates, which, as I say, would be good for risk assets. So I'm just checking on time. I think we've probably got a couple more minutes. Yep. SPX, again, looking positive. We had a little bit of a correction down, even though we had, I'm just trying to check here, we didn't actually have any divergence here. So this line here, you can see if we looked at corresponding RSI is also higher. So there's no divergence in place there. So I can remove that. So there's no signal telling us there was going to be a turnaround in price. So this little tiny correction here was probably just telling us it is just a correction. And we're likely to see some more upside on the S&P 500. Yeah, I was just checking. I do expect we'll see more upside to come on S&P 500 and the other indices as well. Obviously, the Dow, the Nasdaq. I'm expecting more upside to come. The memes are bouncing back a little bit today. So we looked yesterday at SHIB. We said that was looking to turn positive very soon. And these are the lines I had in place beforehand. And we had here, we mentioned it yesterday, that there's basically here regular bullish divergence. So I said we may just test just a touch lower, but we're around about a turning point, I expect, and we should see some good upside to come pretty soon. So today we're up 0.18% on SHIB. So next to nothing, but it's a good area to think about risk reward and think about getting involved, because we did have, must be over a different time frame because we haven't got it here, but we did have some bearish divergence. Maybe it was on the 4 hour. Let me just check. Yeah, it was on the 4 hour. We saw some bullish divergence, sorry. So we can see here we've got lower lows on price and we've got higher lows on corresponding RSI. That was telling us we expected to bounce higher. In fact, the price did bounce precisely off there. It's tested back a little bit, but I think that round about these levels is a really good potential entry for SHIB. So your guy who was looking in yesterday, that's positive. TON was one of those tokens we've talked tons about. It's been amazing because we upgraded it. Well, I say we upgraded it. The eBay platform is an AI system. It's automated. We don't do any upgrades. It's automatic. But basically, it got the upgrade from somewhere down here. It's moved up quite nicely. And once again, it's moving up. So even before the all-time high, the eBay system predicted that all-time high was coming. And it's still looking really positive, projecting more upside to come. And so at 7.69, if you got in down here at the 6 level, you're up, a fair percentage. And it looks as though we're going to revisit and get new all-time highs, maybe substantial new all-time highs, because we've actually got a target here of $10 for TON, and we're currently $7 something, $7 and change.
Nice move. That's a nice move.
30%.
All indicators are, there's a lot of money behind that, and the ecosystem is still small. Most people don't have TON coin, and they have great projects coming on this blockchain. And the more great projects, then people want to enter them. How do you enter them? You enter them with TON coin.
Yeah, and it's got community, it's got liquidity, it's got market cap. It's got, internal fundamentals. It's got the world record for transaction speed, transactions per second, over 100,000 per second. That is way ahead of everything else out there. So I think the future for TON is bright. And no wonder, even though it's got a massive number of tokens in supply, no wonder the price is high, because it has such tremendous promise. So that is, a lot of these reasons of why eBay system will have upgraded it. It has its own metrics and it gathers its own data using artificial intelligence to give those upgrades and downgrades. But it upgraded it well, previously, and it's looking as though we're going to head somewhat higher. So all in all, things are looking really, really bright. I'm just looking down at some of the other. Let me just see. Book of memes, yeah, up 2%. I always like book of memes when the market's beginning to bounce back. Book of memes is one of the big positives out there.
It always correlates, right?
Yeah, if you're looking for, you see, Book of Memes is not actually a meme token, but it's tremendously positive. And if you've got to be careful with it. It's one of the more volatile ones, but traders love volatility. And if you do identify an upward trend in the market, then Book of Memes is one that could crystallize more gains than most tokens out there. Obviously, it's speculative because when the market turns down, it turns down heavily as well. But if you can catch those upsides nicely, it's one of the best tokens to get involved with. Just looking at others, I mean, ADA is one of my least favored tokens, actually. We've been heading down for a long time, and I heard some not such good news, although technically they're a great project. They've got an amazing white paper, but in terms of actual price performance, you can see we've got a very nasty head and shoulders type formation here with the head, left shoulder, right shoulder. And when you see a lower right shoulder and left shoulder, it's telling you potentially that's quite negative for the price expectations. So there's real possibility we'll see lower. But having said that, it may be the head and shoulders is virtually complete because, as you say, a rising tide lifts all boats. And if we do see good data coming out the next couple of days, good for the markets, the risk markets, then even the likes of ADA will probably bounce. We'll probably get some good upside recovery there. So even there, I think there's good upside to be had. But obviously, it's better to choose the tokens with more potential upside. And as I say, when you do token comparisons, you can look at, for example, a comparison between Solana and Litecoin. Litecoin's great token. It's the little brother, of Bitcoin. But I think when you're looking for upside, if the market's pumping, Solana tends to pump more, as I said, and there are some other tokens that would pump more. So that is, that's really
it's one of those funny ones because obviously Charles Hoskinson is the guy behind it. A lot of people really like Charles, or they really don't like him. It's kind of one of those things. He's a historical figure in the space. The community, they do have a community, but it's different. It's I don't think it's going anywhere, but it's one of those.
Yeah. And then just finally, I think it's worth having a look at gold. We've long said that we basically had some kind of ABC down with gold. I actually think we're probably going to head a bit lower. So if you remember, I say gold is quite highly correlated with oil. So I'll just flip back to oil briefly. Remember we had, and we need to look at the daily, probably see it properly, but remember we had the hidden bearish divergence on oil telling us of likely downside to come. So if we then look at gold, so being correlated, we would probably expect some downside to come. And we've seen basically an A, B, and I don't think the C of the correction is yet complete. So I do think potentially we see downside on gold. And as we've said, gold is the traditional hedge against inflation. If we see lower potential inflation, perhaps with PCE tomorrow, then maybe gold will take a hit because people position in gold when they see inflation, when they see and also when they see money printing as well, because gold is that store of value in uncertain times, really, uncertain financial times. So I think that if we see a weakening of the economy, we'll obviously see oil falling. I would expect we'll see oil falling unless we see some geopolitical issues, but also I think gold will follow suit. We expect a little bit lower because we're expecting a C wave to end below this A wave. But all in all, it's corrective. So longer term, I'm expecting new all-time highs to come with gold. So
yeah, I would say it should be a buying opportunity if you're a gold person. Pullback would probably be a buying opportunity at this point.
And that's a really good way to look at it. You see, people see pullbacks as being negative. They're not. They're actually really positive because they give buying opportunities. And it's an opportunity to DCA, to fill your bags, to, if a price keeps going higher and higher, it's actually extremely dangerous because at some point it's going to turn down. If you jump in just at the wrong time, you're going to be in trouble. But if you see a correcting asset, once that correction is complete, and you would then expect some good upside. There's plenty of room for upside because the overhead resistance is, you always have overhead resistance at a previous all-time high. So to buy up here at an all-time high is dangerous because that is a resistance in itself. But if you get a decent pullback in an asset from an all-time high, then there's a reasonable chance that you're going to, as long as it's corrective, you're going to get another push up, at least to the previous all-time high, which would be resistance. So if I was trading this and I jumped in, then when we approach the previous all-time high, I would look to protect my position by putting a protective stop loss. I protect some guaranteed profit as we approach the previous all-time high. Now, if price then reverses off it and you have what's called a double top, then you've got some money, you made your profit. But price could also break straight through, so your stop loss may not get triggered and you could get even more profit. So that's, again, a couple of little minor tips on how to trade successfully. So all in all, I think that's another wrap for today. As I say, looking positive. Let's see how the figures come out. It's now only an hour and a half away from those figures today coming out, I think.
Yep.
And then tomorrow we've got PCE. So tomorrow will be a big day. So let's catch up before tomorrow's PCE figures. Let's see where the market stands. And let's see if there are any major profit opportunities to be taken as we approach that news.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Matt. It is always a pleasure
and
to have you on to report.
Yeah, been a pleasure. Catch you tomorrow. Thank you for having me.
Cheers. The great Matt Dixon. Matt and I have done now about 150 shows together. Believe it or not, I did well over 100 shows. I just kind of did a quick recap of a countdown of our YouTube feed. I guess it's probably more like well over 100 shows, but it's a lot of shows, man. It's a lot of shows. So, but it's a lot of fun. It's great to have an avenue like TV that puts us out there. I'm really excited about getting in this New York market. I'm really beside myself about getting in this New York market. If you guys want to be involved, we are growing, and it is very interesting proposition. If you are somebody that don't give us like your last 100,000 or anything like that, but if you want a place to park your money and have it give you a nice return and help us grow, I want you to go to thesmc.tv. thesmc.tv. I have the banner going across the bottom here. If you're watching on your TV, you can go right there, thesmc.tv, and click the contact us and get in contact with us. You can also follow us on X. I'm Networks Manager. My brother is Sir David Porter. And of course, Matt Dixon is MD Trade. That's Dr. Trade. MD Trade. Matt Dixon Trade. But it is exciting stuff that we have going on the TV network as we grow. TV is one of those things. If everything is going to hit the fan here, which it might, okay, radio waves, all right, this local television network is actually really important. It's a really important way for us to communicate, and we can actually do a lot of stuff over these radio waves, including sending Bitcoin and data and everything else. There's a lot that we can do over this stuff, and we are doing it. So super exciting about all that stuff. We also have our events coming up in New York as well this September. Excited about that. Oh, and while I'm at it, I have coming up, we have Money 2020. Money 2020 is coming up, and we're super excited about it. So Money 2020, and I'm going to share my screen here. Let's see here. Money 2020, one of my favorite shows of all time. Money 2020 is happening in Las Vegas. Let me share my screen here. October. Okay, so we have New York in September, and then we have Las Vegas. I always love Las Vegas, I think. It's hard to remember. Just kidding. Here we go, where money does business. Money 2020, one of the most important shows that you can get. Yeah, I hate these things. Reject all. There we go. Where money does business. This is one of the most important events that you can get to. Money 2020. And I have a discount code here. Let me just look for my discount code. Let's see here. Katie. My friend Katie. Here we are. Boom, 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 boom. I've got it. I got the discount code coming. I got the discount code. Hold on. They have 3,500 employees. This is like a major show. Okay. Money 2020. It's October 27 through 30. You want to grab your pass. I'm going to get you my discount code here. It is, where's my discount code? Oh, I think I saw it. Oh, boom, 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 boom. Let's see here. I have a discount code that you're going to want to buy tickets. Discount. What are we at? I won't spend too much time on this. Okay, please, the discount code is given to you. All right, I'm almost there. I got it. The discount code is GLOBE, GLOB 250. And you get an extra $250 off. That's GLOB 250. I'll share it on my X. GLOB 250. And that gets you $200 off. Money 2020 discount code is GLOB 250. Let me just make sure that's right. Yes, it is. Add this banner. I'll put this right on each folder. Please delete some. Okay, fine. We'll delete this one. And now we'll add this one. Boom. Money 2020 discount code. There it is right there. Globe. That's for Global Boost Media. Globe 250. Get your tickets quickly. This more than likely this will sell out. This is one of those events that's like, this is huge. Everybody's there. Everybody is there. So we'll be there. We will be bringing a lot of different people there. Also have last chance to save $400 this Friday. So if you use the code before the end of day tomorrow, you have 1 day, 16 hours and 16 hours to get it, almost 17 hours to do this. Then you can get $650 off the price of the tickets. So you're going to want to move on that today, tomorrow, okay, in order to get that. After that, you'll get your $250 discount, but you won't get this $400 discount, which is, let me put $250, 250 discount code. Boom. Okay, save and add. There we are. 250 discount code, Globe 250. And just as I'm on the site here, where money does business, this is like, there's not a lot of big shows, but there's also Europe, there's Asia, Europe. We are a global partner, or a global, I think global partner. If I said that wrong, sorry guys. However, we're working with them in order to do this, obviously. Content. Let me just see if we have the different speakers that are here. Initiatives, white papers. We got the money pot. We got this event is massive. So make sure that you come. Get your ticket too. It says Money 2020 is the world's leading premium content sales and networking platform for the global ecosystem. From in-depth analysis to inspirational speakers, our world-class insight and networking opportunities help our customers stay ahead, powering strategies and relationships, switching mindsets. Money 2020 promises to the clearest and most distinctive focus on what's next across the world of payments, fintech, and financial services. Be part of the global movement shaping the future of money. Join the fintech events that you'll like to be part of. They have different, of course, as I mentioned, they have the USA, they have Asia, and they have Europe. So make sure to get your tickets today. GOLB 250 for your 250 off. Introducing 20-fold. Sponsor our fintech conference. If you do want to become a sponsor, let me know. You can also click this, but if you do that, let them know, of course, that you came through us. You're probably better off to just let me know, but whatever. I always tell that to people. If I'm a conference guy, I'm going to these conferences all the time. If you think you can negotiate a better deal than I can when I'm working with them all the time, then go ahead for it. Maybe you can. Not saying that you can't, but obviously we can work out some special stuff. Money 2020 is not like other fintech events. There's a buzz and energy around the event, which offers a fresh perspective on fintech. Be informed and entertained by content from our incredible guest speakers and make valuable connections with our networking event. I have to tell you as well, guys, that this is one of the most professional shows around. Okay. I mean, Money 2020, I mean, it's probably one of the longest running. It is one of the most professional shows. They have a professional team. Even my friend that I work with behind the scenes, it's easy to work with. Always gives me all the stuff that I need. You can tell when you're dealing with a professional outfit, right? So check that out. Money 2020. We hope to see you there. So we have, of course, so we're at the UN General Assembly. Okay, in September, UN General Assembly is September 12th through the 28th. So we'll be there on location and doing some events. And then the next month, we're at Money 2020. Money 2020. Make sure you use your discount code GLOB250, Globe for Global Boost Media, GLOB 250. Make sure to use that code and get yourself some tickets today. All right. So, another great show that we've had today. I wanted to talk a little bit before I sign off about the coup in Bolivia, because this is really something else. Now, the CIA has a very they had a troubling history of messing with different countries and staging coups. And so, of course, we're calling it a CIA here, Bolivia coup. Now, as well, Bolivia has been outspoken about CIA has been Bolivia has been outspoken critic of the war over in the Middle East, as well as some other things. Really brought some heat on themselves. The big guys don't like that. Shadow of Ezra, this is one of the big accounts. These are all South American countries that have had their governments overthrown by the CIA since 1947. But today's military coup, it was not the CIA, right? But let's just look.
Here's every South American country which has had its government overthrown by the CIA since 1947. Costa Rica in 1948, Guatemala 1954, El Salvador 1979, Nicaragua 1981, Panama 1989, Paraguay 1954, Brazil 1964, Peru 1968, Chile 1973, Uruguay 1973, Argentina 1976, and Venezuela in 2002.
That's worth watching again. So I'm going to count them. All right. So these are the countries that have, let me just get out of this for a second. These are all the South American countries that have had their governments overthrown by the CIA since 1947. 1947 is an interesting year for a number of reasons. I'm not going to dive into that right now, but that is very interesting. So since 1947, but today's military coup wasn't the CIA, it says, right? So let's I'm going to count these as they run them off. So
here's every South American country which has had its government overthrown by the CIA since 1947. Costa Rica in 1948, Guatemala 1954, El Salvador 1979, Nicaragua 1981, Panama 1989, Paraguay 1954, Brazil 1964, Peru 1968, Chile 1973, Uruguay 1973, Argentina, 1976, and Venezuela in 2002. Here's every
That's a lot
South
of
American
countries,
country which
guys.
has had its government overthrown by the
So that's
CIA since
12
1940.
different countries. What in the world is the CIA doing, overthrowing all these countries and staging coups in all these countries? We claim, the U.S. claims to, and this is what a lot of the world says about us. The U.S. claims to support democracy, but then they don't support democracy. They only support democracy that they like. So actually, Ron Paul brought that up about Hamas as well, because Hamas was basically encouraged and started by both the U.S. intelligence agencies and the Israeli intelligence agencies, because it suited our what we wanted to do at the time. And then we pushed the Palestinians to have elections, and they elected Hamas. I'm not saying Hamas should be in power, but maybe democracy is not for everybody. I mean, we like to think it's for everybody, but maybe it's not. Certainly now seems to be the age of the dictator, right? We have the age of the dictator at this point. We have Russia, who has, Putin is certainly, I don't think you can say that guy has done a bad job, right? I mean, he's basically leading the BRICS nations. He's basically leading the BRICS nations, forming a coalition that could rival NATO. It could end up being the strongest. It could seems unlikely maybe, but at the same time could be likely. Could end up being the strongest coalition in the world. You have China. China was Shenzhen. I hope I said that right. President there. Of course, he's basically a dictator as well. I don't know if you remember when they took the guy off stage, the former president. I don't know what that was all about. They sat there and then he said, "Okay, you got to go," and they came and escorted him off. I'm sure that was a bad night for him, poor guy. But yeah, we are kind of the age of the dictator. America is a scam. This guy says everything America touches eventually fails. And I'm not sharing my screen here. This is again on Bolivia. I think it's a pretty important moment to talk about this stuff, because it's important to know, we have what we have in the U.S. And I'm going to pull this back up in a minute. But what we have in the U.S. is illusions of things. We have an illusion of a two-party system. It's really one party, right? It doesn't really matter who gets elected. We kind of always get the same thing. Central bank is really in charge. They're the ones who call the shots. We have an illusion of a democracy. We have an illusion of voting. We vote on these electronic machines, and whether you want to say that 2020 they were rigged or not, I think we can all kind of sit here and say, well, maybe electronic voting machines aren't the best way to go. I'm sure we've all sat in a casino and pulled the lever on the electric machines and been like, am I really doing this? Like, they're electronic machines. They're easily manipulated by not only the person who made them, but potential hackers, right? So we have illusions of stuff. And so that's it's kind of what this guy is. And we're always kind of saying we're things, but we need to be, and let me go back to this, we need to be more involved, like the people, you and me, because actually, we're, as a group, we're the most powerful force in the US, but we don't do anything. And a lot of it has to do because the economy, and because there's so much tax that people have to work all the time, and then you have the wife and the husband working all the time just to basically pay the bills and the tax, because the tax right now, if you include inflation, is well over 50% of what you make. And again, remember the chocolate milk story. I was buying the chocolate milks for my daughter at $13.99 just a couple years ago, and now I'm paying $17.99. That is a massive increase, or whatever that is, 30% or so increase, about 25. I'm getting better at doing math on my broadcast. That was really hard for me as I was doing this every morning, but I'm getting better now. I'm getting better now at doing math on the broadcast. So, but we have the CIA. I think all of us here pretty much think that the CIA should not be involved in overthrowing 12 countries in the last 75 years or whatever, 78 years, whatever it is. I think most of us believe that. So what's going on? Why is the CIA overthrowing, performing coups? And then never mind what we did to Gaddafi and all these other guys. Going into Iraq for weapons of mass destruction that weren't there after Iraq didn't attack us. Like, what's going on? Why do we have no power to do anything about it? We're supposed to be a constitutional republic with democratically elected representatives where we have control over this stuff. But it doesn't seem like whoever we vote for, it doesn't seem like it matters. And that was one of the things I talked about with David Winkler yesterday. We had a great conversation. David Winkler from Pennsylvania. David I liked him. I like David Winkler. Let's get David Winkler in office. And let's talk to some more America First candidates. Another shout out to our friends, Patriots United, putting those together. I should have probably had another one on this morning. Sometimes there's so much to cover. And, so anyway, all right. So back to this Bolivia here. There's even more stuff to talk about. So America is a scam. This guy, Eric, says Amerix, and I don't follow this guy, so I don't know who he is. But 1.7 million followers. America is a scam. Everything America touches eventually fails, this guy says. The Bolivia coup, led by the military and its general Juan Jose Zuniga, which was backed by America, was terribly failed. Millions of people came out and chased the military and police from the presidential palace. And this is what I talk about as well, guys. The people are the most powerful. Everybody's scared to come to D.C. They're scared to do this. They're scared to do that. Then you will be a slave. And your kids will be slaves. But there's a very small group of people who are implementing these policies that you don't like, and there's millions and millions, hundreds of millions of us. And they can't do it without us. So we got to get together. We have to be accepting of each other, which is what I always talk about. We have to be accepting of each other because none of us are perfect. And that's a big thing, especially in the conservative movement. You have, well, this guy did this. Oh, this guy did that. Oh. Nobody's perfect. That's one thing that the left is very good at. They let a lot of things go. They're almost very accepting of different things, right? So our failed coup. Bolivia was recently, this is Liz Churchill, and Liz I know, unofficial queen of economic forum, conspiracy theorist Bill Gates' best friend. She's funny. Communism ruins everything. Liz Churchill. She says Bolivia has recently expressed serious interest in joining BRICS. So of course, the central bank with their dollar, they want to get rid of that. They don't want that. The Bolivian troops have now taken complete control of the presidential palace. General Juan Jose Zuniga states he's forming a new cabinet. The CIA and Mossad interference. And she said it. I hadn't said it yet, but absolutely, the Mossad is it's CIA and Mossad, 100%. They came out strongly against Israel, and don't support that. And actually, they stopped diplomatic relations with them. And I actually even put out a post that next they're going to get hit with the direct energy weapon. George Papadopoulos, another well-known guy, 1.1 million followers here. George and I do know each other as well. Attempted coup in Bolivia prevented. The group behind the attempt overthrow of the country was illegally CIA-backed. The leader exhibited to the nation in handcuffs. We are going to make our country's democracy be respected, whatever it takes, said the National Police. More of this to come. Let's watch this.
Boliviano. Los delitos por los cuales fue aprendido esta persona no son suficientes. Desde el Ministerio de Gobierno vamos a realizar los requerimientos correspondientes para que se amplíen los verdaderos delitos por los cuales este sujeto debe pagar en un centro de reclusión en nuestro país. ¿Pueden retirarlo, por favor?
¿General, algo que decir?
So that's the general right there. And basically what he said was we're going to make our country's democracy be respected, whatever it takes, is what they said. Yeah, pretty interesting stuff here. When the president of Bolivia asked the country to mobilize against the coup, the people answered the call. So look at that. Look at that, right? So this is what I talk about, guys. You know, when you have a situation like that, they're not going to send everybody to jail. They can't. Okay. That is how you handle something. And you saw there was no guns there, right? There was no violence, but the people weren't taking it anymore. And if we're to take back control of our country, I don't think that really anything other than something like that is going to work. We'll see. Hopefully, of course, we're able to get Trump in office here, and then we can push some things forward. We get people like David Winkler and some of the other guys in office. We can support a America First movement coming through Congress and coming through these different places. But I do think, really, in the end, it is going to take actual people doing stuff. Laura Richardson, a 4-star general of the United States Army, explains why it's critical to combat Russian influence in Latin America. We've got a lithium triangle, which is crucial for today's technology. The lithium triangle spans in parts of Argentina, Bolivia, and Chile. So here you go, even more kind of evidence of why they want to overthrow this country. I don't know when this was filmed.
If I talk to my number 2 adversary in the region, Russia, I mean, I've got of course, the countries, Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua with Russia relationships. Why this region matters with all of its rich resources and rare earth elements. You've got the lithium triangle, which is needed for technology today. 60% of the world's lithium is in the lithium triangle: Argentina, Bolivia, Chile. You just have the largest oil reserves, light sweet crude, discovered off of Guyana over a year ago. You have Venezuela's resources as well with oil, copper, gold. We have the Amazon. We have the 31% of the world's fresh water in this region too. I mean, it's just off the chart. And so I think we have a lot at stake, but we have a lot to do. This region matters. It has a lot to do with national security, and we need to step up our game. If I talk
that was U.S. General Laura talking about that. So the reason I played that, and I'm gonna keep kind of scrolling there. We're kind of focusing on this Bolivia, this failed coup in Bolivia, CIA, Mossad, most likely operation. Actually, not most likely. Everybody knows they're behind it, and that's we need to. You know, what we have control over is the CIA, right? As Americans, we need to close the CIA. The CIA needs to be closed. What are they doing? What are they doing going around the world trying to overthrow all of these different countries? Why does the CIA feel like they need to go around and overthrow all these countries? It's crazy. FBI is also out of control, as you know. These things need to be shut down. We need to shut the central bank down as well, because we can't ever defund anything. I can tell you right now, the defunding of Mayorkas, which is a joke, defunding his office 2-3 months before the election. It's a joke, just designed to keep people, you know, who knows. Here we go, Megatron here, another popular account, Megatron. Reports on a lot of the war type situations here. Megatron_Ron. A failed coup attempt in Bolivia by U.S.-backed General Juan Jose Zuniga. Bolivia, a dramatic coup attempt aimed at President Luis Arce, I guess, was stopped in its tracks. And it was stopped in its tracks by the people. It was stopped in its tracks by the people. Armored vehicles smashed the government palace, yet ARC stood strong, swiftly replacing the defiant army commander. His firm actions, backed by massive support from the public, waving national flags, led to the troops pulling back. Bolivian President Luis Arce has met the leaders of the attempted military coup in Bolivia face to face at the doors of the presidential palace. Oh, he's a writer too. Bolivian president emerges victorious from the palace. Brothers, I want to thank you. You have mobilized quickly throughout the country. No one can take away the democracy we've earned in the streets through the blood of the Bolivian people. The leaders of the attempted coup, Juan Jose Zuniga, has been arrested by his own troops. The Bolivian government is a big supporter of the global South and has applied for BRICS membership. This is the reason why I'm talking this. I am going to play a couple of those videos, but this is an important moment here. What just happened there in Bolivia is very important. It's a stark defeat and a resounding repulsion of the CIA and the Mossad who run these operations around the world. So that is, and then in him calling out that they want to join BRICS and everything else. I mean, this is major. BRICS has been growing a lot. I remember talking about it a few months ago, and the BRICS nations GDP wasn't even close to even just the United States GDP. But they keep adding people, and the BRICS currency is going to be backed by gold, and they have been buying gold a lot. China, Russia, and these people have been buying a lot of gold. So it is it's troubling. It's troubling. Let's look at a couple of these videos here that Magazine quoted.
Grande a Palacio Quemado está ingresando, ha roto prácticamente la puerta de este vehículo que está fuertemente armado. Ha roto la
That's
puerta.
some serious stuff right there.
Uso de agentes químicos en este sector. Ustedes observan cómo ha quedado la puerta.
That's at the presidential
Está
palace.
prácticamente destrozada. Este vehículo ha destrozado la puerta de Palacio Quemado. Ahí hay personas, ustedes observan que están tratando de abrir. Entendemos que lo van a abrir nuevamente. Han abierto la puerta de Palacio Quemado. Este vehículo ha roto prácticamente. Ustedes han visto en imágenes en directo lo que ha ocurrido. Y nuevamente los militares ya toman prácticamente Palacio Quemado, las puertas, lo que hasta hace algunos minutos no podían porque había policías.
All right, I'm going to clip to the next one. But again, what is our CIA doing? And why don't the American people have a say in what they're doing? The central bank fronts the money to pay them. They charge about 3%. But you pay them. I pay them. You pay them. We pay them. Something's got to change here, guys. Why is the CIA trying to overthrow countries around the world? This is withdraw these forces immediately in order, the president told them. It says withdraw these forces immediately. It's an order. It's an order. General, you're not going to obey me. Yeah. Wow, this is some pretty intense stuff here.
Hermanos, quiero agradecerles. Se han movilizado rápidamente. En todo el interior del país hay movilizaciones, hay pronunciamientos de gobiernos amigos que quiero saludar también.
This is the president talking,
Nadie nos puede quitar la democracia,
presumably after the failed coup.
Y en las calles con sangre del pueblo boliviano, hermanos. Queremos agradecerles.
This is why I didn't join the military. My family has we go back to, we've fought in basically every major battle in the U.S., and I've talked about it a number of times. This is why I didn't join the military, because I didn't want to go and do crap like this. We were shooting up Panama. I understood what was going on even way back then. 17, 18 years old, I knew what was going on. I didn't know like I know now. Now I really know. Speaking of people that know, you know, I don't know all the details, but apparently Alex Jones's InfoWars is being shut down. InfoWars is being shut down. And yesterday they passed, the Supreme Court rather upheld you're being censored by the government. So Biden administration, who is a disaster. I mean, whether you want to say he got in there illegitimately or not, I mean, I think we can all agree that it's a disaster. It's been a disaster for the American people and for the world. So the Biden administration, the Supreme Court ruled overwhelmingly that they had 6-3, that they had the right to tell social media platforms to take content down, purge, I think is the word they used, and censor people, right? Months ahead of the election. Facebook and Instagram immediately moved to censor different speech that's coming out. We have, of course, we have the Trump Biden thing tonight. They're going to do their debate, the big debates tonight. That's going to be interesting, right? I gotta watch it. I don't normally watch TV really, but I gotta watch that. I'm gonna watch it. You gonna watch it? Trump Biden debate. Do you think it's really going to be Biden? So that's another thing that they've been talking about on social media here, and I've been talking about it a while. So it's fun when you've been talking about stuff for a while that people start to pick it up. And so these masks are really starting to, you know, because they can make masks now. You'll never know you're talking to somebody in a mask. Yeah, here we go. These masks are everywhere. Look at this. The question is, and I'm going to show some more of these. Do you think that Joe Biden's wearing a mask? I mean, I've been talking about it for a while. Now I see it's getting picked up because I don't think it's Joe Biden from before. Do you think it's Joe Biden from 20 years ago? I don't think so. I don't think it looks like Joe Biden from 20 years ago. And then he looks different all the time. I put up this one. This is pretty funny. Yeah, look at this one here. So this is a video clip from a little while ago, but look at this. Look at this. What do you notice about this video of Nancy Pelosi?
Food security issue. He's been spelling that out the whole time. I want you to know that we in the Congress fully support and take injustice. And again, the food security issue. He's been spelling that out the whole time. I want you to know that we in the Congress fully support and take injustice. And again, the food security issue. He's been spelling that out the whole time. I want you to know that we in the Congress fully support and take injustice.
Is that like a cardboard cutout
security issue
of the woman?
He's been spelling that out the whole time. I want you to know that we in the Congress fully support and take injustice. And again, the food security issue. He's been spelling that out the whole time. I want you to know that we in the Congress fully support and take
going on with her neck right there? Like, is that a mask? Is somebody just wearing a mask?
He's been spelling that out the whole time. I want you to know that we in the Congress
that's definitely
fully
not that woman.
and take
Right?
injustice.
You tell me. Is that
and
that
again,
woman?
The food security issue. He's been spelling that out the whole time. I want you to know that we in the Congress fully support and take injustice. And again, the food security issue. He's been spelling that out the whole time.
It looks like a mask, right? It looks like a mask.
and again, the food security issue. He's been spelling that out the whole time. I want you to know that we in the Congress.
Boom, 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 boom. Let me just see here. Mask. If you don't follow me on Twitter, you should follow me on Twitter. Oh, this was a great one. Remember this? This was really something else here. Remember this? You can forget this. Now let's be honest. Like, let's be honest. What's going on? That's supposed to be Hillary Clinton. Into the back of the black van. Looks like a. I mean, what are they doing, guys? This is it's pretty crazy. Okay. Oh, here's some more masks. They've been using these masks for a long time. That's the other part, right? And I got family in the business. I know how this stuff works. All right.
The mask is the culmination of a lot of work that we did at CIA over a period of, I'd say, 10 years, developing that technology. It was a big challenge to come up with something that finally actually animated and worked to really fool a person closer than 3-4 feet from you. But we did.
They learned the art.
We actually brought Hollywood back into our labs at one point to look at what we had done. And they were stunned. They're absolutely stunned.
Congratulations.
The fact that we're allowed to show it tells me the CIA have moved on. I don't know what they're doing. I shouldn't know. I'm dying to know, but I don't know.
Relax. You'll get to see it all later on.
So I'm proud to show people how good we got to that point and let them imagine. So what are they doing now?
Jana Mendez retired from the CIA as chief of disguise after more than 25 years with the agency. When she left in 1993, the masks they were making could not be detected in a face-to-face conversation. These declassified photos show Mendez in disguise while meeting with President Bush in the early 90s. Although she was there to brief the president on the new CIA disguise program, nobody in the room knew she was wearing a mask until she removed it. Imagine the advances that have been made in the last 30 years.
So she brought up a really good point there. All right. So the CIA is now allowing her to share the work that she did in the CIA with these masks over 30 years ago. So if this was what they were able to do 30 years ago and you weren't able to tell face to face, you weren't able to tell, then what are they doing now? And she said, I'd love to know. Of course, I don't know, but I'd love to know. And then you have Joe out there who's like, I mean, it's just all over the place. I don't know, guys. We are in some crazy times. We are in some crazy times. Let me tell you that right now. Crazy, crazy times here. Let's see here. Anyway, all right, let's just go with masks. Let's see what that pops up. Here's an uncut version of the CIA chief diagnosis confirming they use full face masks to walk around. This is the Wall Street Apes, another well-known account. Let me play this.
I was chief of disguise.
What all did that entail?
The office I worked in was like the Coup in James Bond. We were the Coup for the CIA and the intelligence community. So there were different parts of it. Whatever you needed, if you needed a bug, if you needed secret writing or a microdot or a concealment device or whatever you needed, you had to come to us and we'll put something together for you.
What's the most memorable moment from being in disguise for you?
There were a number of them, but one that has to stand out. I went to the White House and I briefed George H.W. Bush, the president at the time, while I was wearing a full face mask. So we're sitting like this close together, and I'm telling him that I'm going to show him the best disguise that we have. And he's looking for a bag, like, where is it? I said, well, I'm wearing it, and I'm going to take it off. And I reached to start taking it off, and he said, stop. And he got up, and he walked, and he looked, and he looked at it. He didn't know it was a mask. He wasn't sure what I was wearing. He sat back down. He said, okay. So I took it off, and I was holding it up in the air so he could see it. My whole head. It had hair and a face and a neck.
So you could walk around as someone else.
Absolutely.
And that would be the disguise.
Absolutely.
Do you think Joe Biden is going to be, who do you think will be under the mask tonight? Another great show, guys. It's always fun. Signing off for another few hours. We'll be back. Cheers.
Your voice is powerful. When combined with social engagement, it's a force for change. Decentralized media paired with free speech is the catalyst for an empowered world and a unified, invaluable ecosystem. Join Global Boost, become a champion of free speech, and help to reshape the future of media.